So spacious, this Wanda Plaza. Weekday afternoon and no one is here. Not any people around. Oh my, it's so empty. Shenzhen's Qianhai was once a highly anticipated destination for the Chinese Communist Party's top leadership, who envisioned it as a mini Hong Kong on the mainland, a future international technology and financial center. Initial investment in Qianhai reached $45 billion, and Xi Jinping visited the area 3 times as a personally direct plan and direct action. However, China's economic situation has continued to deteriorate in recent years, and Qianhai has not seen an economic miracle, but has instead fallen into decline. High-rise buildings stand empty, shopping malls are deserted, and highways are sparsely populated. Now, the blueprint turns out to be a bubble dream, leaving Qianhai as another rotten-tailed project following Xi's personal directing. Once upon a time, Shenzhen's outer border was the heart of the Pearl River Delta's manufacturing industry. Factories teemed, logistics flourished, and restaurants and markets bustled with people. But now, walking the streets outside the border, the desolate scene is sad. Factories aren't just closing infrequently, they're leaving en masse. The markets are deserted, stalls vacant, as if the city's daily rhythm has been lost. Restaurants are closed and no longer have the familiar smell of cooking smoke in the streets. Houses are largely empty, vacant and unrented, even the urban villages seem empty. Underlying all this is the chain reaction of manufacturing relocation. As the Sino-US trade war escalates, many factories are relocating to Southeast Asia. Once factories move, workers are lost, consumption dwindles, and living facilities naturally become unsustainable. Oh my goodness, is it really that difficult to run a brick-and-mortar store these days? I'm currently at the Excellence Times building in Qianhai. I've been walking around, and only about 1/3 of the shops are currently rented out. The rest are all vacant, some closing down before they even opened. You should know that this location is also part of Qianhai. It's truly terrifying. These are the locations they fought for and won through connections back then. How do the owners feel about this now? Do you know what's causing this? This is like being forced back home. How cruel. After my husband was laid off in May, my family's primary source of income was cut off. My son's tuition and parents' living expenses depended solely on my meager income. I had originally planned to return to our hometown after 2 more years of working. My husband had a stable job in Shenzhen, which was more than enough to support us. But plans can't keep up with change. The world changed without a second thought, leaving no room for maneuver. From my husband's layoff notification to his leaving was only a week. There was no time to buffer. The suddenness left my husband and me completely stunned. Alas, this is the world. The blogger noted that many companies have collapsed due to a loss of funding, and currently just a few are doing well. Her company, for example, has been steadily laying off employees since last year, and has already let go 2/3 of its workforce. Her current situation is also precarious. They have elderly parents and young children to support, and they also have a mortgage to pay, which is a significant expense. Her husband, 45, has been interviewing for jobs, but the age limit makes it difficult for him to find a job. Seeing her husband grow increasingly anxious, she could only offer him constant comfort. She hoped that life would gradually improve and that they can escape their predicament as soon as possible. Shenzhen, a first-tier city, is so deserted right now that even fast food restaurants are completely cold. I've run a fast food restaurant in an urban village for over 8 years. Yesterday, my sales were $110, and today plummeted to $70. It's getting worse by the day. Really, I can't hold on any longer. I got a lease on this place for $15,400 at the time. Back then, there were few competitors nearby, and the rent was affordable. The place was bustling at mealtimes, and business was pretty good. Although it was a bit hard and tiring, I felt at ease. Today, at noon, it should have been the busiest time, but the store is quiet with only a few customers. The blogger said that now an entire street in the urban village is filled with restaurants, with more restaurants than people. Everyone is struggling to make ends meet. Even paying rent is a struggle, let alone making a profit. I can't believe the Ocean View condos near the Qianhai Ferris wheel have plummeted from $15,000 per square meter to $5,600 per square meter today. Unbelievable. How did the existing owners survive? The blogger said she's been back in her hometown from Shenzhen for over 6 months now and misses her previous life every day. She feels like returning home is a mistake.
现在的每天
I feel so anxious every day now. Back in Shenzhen, I felt so stressed out and I thought returning to my hometown would give me some peace of mind and a break. But it turns out that's not the case at all. The key is that wages back home have been halved and opportunities are incredibly scarce. Finding a suitable job requires connections, and even after submitting so many resumes, nothing comes of it. What about back home? There are still many unemployed people who spend their days doing nothing but playing mahjong and cards. Not life at all. I feel like I'm exiled. The blogger stated that social conventions have become more complicated in her hometown. Getting things done requires connections and money. Now she's struggling with whether to return to Shenzhen. While the pressure is high, at least things are fair in many ways, and the income is much higher. If you were in her situation, what would you decide?
我现在在前海。
I'm in Qianhai, Shenzhen. What's my first impression? Empty. Completely empty. Except for Qianhai, Mixi, and Excellence in Guiwan, in other areas with office buildings and commercial properties, you can walk for 2 or 3 minutes without encountering a single person. Even though the skyscrapers are up, they're completely empty. Secondly, Qianhai has been developing for 10 years now. It's either construction sites or vacant lots. Look, these vacant lots are all becoming open-air parking lots.
孕25周的我在
I was laid off in Shenzhen while 25 weeks pregnant. I haven't updated the post in the past few days because of a significant change at work. My former boss took a 2-week leave to avoid the spotlight, and the department was disbanded. The other colleagues were taken on by other bosses, leaving me and another colleague unemployed. The company is planning to lay us off, and they're already discussing compensation with the other colleague. I'm 25 weeks pregnant with more than 3 months left before I was supposed to take maternity leave. I never expected to work diligently for 2 years only to find myself abandoned, facing the risk of layoffs too. This is the first time I've ever experienced such a thing.
我也算是第一次遇上这种事情。
The blogger said that when she first heard the news, she found it hard to accept. She lamented that women are truly a vulnerable group in the workplace. She felt like she was just an ordinary employee. When you're unworthy, the company will fire you without hesitation, without any mercy. She said that since things have happened, people have to learn to accept everything that happens in life. The most important thing right now is to maintain a healthy mindset and health, and not to put too much mental burden and pressure on yourself.
深圳都冷清到这种地步了吗？
Has Shenzhen become so deserted? This is China's first fourth-generation Wanda Plaza. When it opened 3 years ago, it was packed, and traffic was jammed up for miles. Now, only in 3 years, and it's 12 noon on the weekend, but few people on the 8th floor of the mall, and the aisles are quiet. Prince Karma always used to have a long line whenever customers came, and everyone was holding their bags. However, look, few people here now. Also, these restaurants used to be packed with people waiting for a table, but now, not only is nobody waiting, but only a few tables of guests inside. The blogger said that the overall economy is bad, and both he and his wife were laid off. They brought their child to a restaurant they used to frequent. It used to be packed, but that day they were the only table in the entire restaurant. In the past, the child had to wait in long lines for these rides, but that day there were only 2 people playing. If weekends are so deserted, what are weekdays like? Compared to when it first opened 3 years ago, many shops have gone through several cycles of changes. The blogger lamented that it truly is the shopping mall stays like iron, but the stores are changing like water. Running a brick-and-mortar store is truly not easy. Will Qianhai surpass Shenzhen Bay in the next 10 years? Impossible. You might read too much high-sounding promotion online. There are 2 reasons for this. First, you'll find that Qianhai currently has independent financing licensing rights and is in competition with Shenzhen. So how could Shenzhen allow it to undermine its own resources? How could it possibly allow its own industries to be poached? So Qianhai has to find resources. Can it find such resources? If you find them now, you will likely find them in 10 years. Second, regarding the living experience, I'd like to ask, is the living experience in Qianhai good now? Is it mature? Is it completely mature? Are all the supporting facilities in place?
配套完全跟上来了。
兄弟们，我准备回老家去了。
Hey guys, I'm going back home. I've been thinking about it these past few days.
8岁了，
I'm 38, can't find a job, and feel pointless here.
也没啥意思。
I'm not interested in those tiring work like DD driver, food delivery, etc.
我是不干的。
I'd rather just go home and lie flat. This city actually belongs to the rich. If you don't have money, no matter how prosperous it is, it won't have much to do with you. So understand yourself and make a decision soon. Putting it off like this is no use.
老是这样拖着也不是办法。
A blogger from the northeastern city of Changchun said today is her and her husband's last day in Shenzhen. They're ending their migrant work and returning home. I've asked a nanny to clean every corner of the condo so the next tenant can move right in. Although it's someone else's home, we've always treated it like our own. As I'm leaving, I vaguely recall the day we first arrived in Shenzhen, pulling our suitcases like this, filled with curiosity and anticipation for this city. In the blink of an eye, years have passed, and my heart feels empty when leaving this place where my dreams began. Although Shenzhen offers endless sleepless nights, endless pig's trotter rice, and endless urban villages, there are mountains I can climb, oceans I can see, and a group of young people pursuing their dreams. Let's take one last look at the mega Shenzhen.
最后再看一眼大深圳吧。
This Qianhai development launched 5 years ago and sold out in one day with a price of 15,000 per square meter. Come and experience it. This is the community. Homeowners who bought here at the time generally believed that the price would double to 28,000 after delivery. But now second-hand properties are actually selling at a loss. Who would have dared to imagine that? This condo has a very nice view. You can see the mountains in the distance. This side is the Ma Wan Financial Center, and there are also relatively mature commercial facilities.
商业配套也比较成熟。
这就是我宁愿留在深圳。
This is why I'd rather stay in Shenzhen than return to my hometown. I'm a 2000-born woman from Jiangxi province, where the average wage is around $560. 3 years after arriving in Shenzhen, my mother has been constantly urging me to return to my hometown to work there and get married as soon as possible, saying it would provide stability and that once I have a child, her mission will be accomplished. But now, I really don't want to be anyone's wife or mother, and I certainly don't want to be the gossip of the town. Now in Shenzhen, I have a job I love, earning 12,000 yuan a month with 2 days off a week and a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. schedule. No one here dictates my life. I can buy myself the latest phone, travel to my favorite cities, and buy my mom a gold bracelet. Life is free to flow at my own pace. The blogger said Shenzhen is a city where things never stop, where everyone is busy and striving for their own goals. She loves this atmosphere because it gives her more confidence for the future.
你觉得在深圳混
If you think you can return to your hometown when you can't make it in Shenzhen, you're completely wrong. Last week, my classmate returned to Shenzhen from his hometown. Like me, he's been drifting in Shenzhen for over a decade. After being laid off last year, he joked that the compensation was his first pot of gold, and he decided to take it back to his hometown, thinking he could find an easy job and then no more 996, no more slogging through the office. However, after only a year in his hometown, he discovered that reality was completely different from what he had imagined. High-tech industries in his provincial capital were far inferior to those in Shenzhen. A base salary of $600 was a stark difference from the $4,200 salary in Shenzhen. Prices and living expenses in his hometown were similar to those in Shenzhen, but the cost of social engagements increased dramatically throughout the year, an expense that was particularly non-existent in Shenzhen. The blogger said that her classmate's income in his hometown was decreasing, while the expenses were increasing. The classmate was struggling to make ends meet every month. Finally, after a year, this classmate felt compelled to return to Shenzhen.
今天咱们来聊一聊深圳。
Today, let's discuss the current state of Shenzhen's office building market. Savills recently released its latest research report. In the first quarter of 2025, Shenzhen's Grade A office stock reached 11.58 million units. What does that mean? That's the equivalent of over 1,600 football fields. The city's office vacancy rate has also reached 29.8%, approaching 30%. This means that nearly 1 in 3 offices is vacant, causing many landlords to become extremely anxious.
也非常的焦虑。
在深圳奋斗了9年。
I worked hard in Shenzhen for 9 years. Last month, I was laid off by my company and lost my job. After careful consideration, I decided to leave Shenzhen. Before leaving, I had one urgent matter to deal with, subletting my condo and furniture and appliances. Since the lease hadn't expired yet, if I couldn't find someone subleasing, the landlord would tearfully deduct 1 month's rent from me. I currently live in a space in an urban village near Xixiang subway station. The room is well lit and well ventilated. The rent is $180 a month. I bought all my furniture and appliances, which are all complete.
都很齐全。
The blogger said that the day he learned of his layoffs, he posted his rental information online. The convenient location and low rent quickly attracted numerous inquiries, with many people making special trips to view the place. However, some hesitated because the building doesn't have an elevator and the finishes are sparse, while others left because the furniture and appliances aren't cheap enough. After numerous negotiations, he gradually grew tired and simply didn't want to expend any more energy dealing with these trivial matters. Ultimately, he sold all the furniture and appliances to the new tenant for the low price of $100. After all, renting out the space gave him a sigh of relief. Qianhai's 70% plunge is a widely acknowledged fact. The Qianhai Free Trade Zone, once emulating the Shenzhen Bay legend, was selling $35,000 per square meter at its peak, selling out immediately upon opening. Now, forced to face reality, prices have plummeted to $5,600 per square meter. Regarding Qianhai's transformation from prosperity to recession, Chinese-American economist Li Hengqin believes this is related to changes in Hong Kong's business environment. He analyzed that Qianhai, with its geographical advantages as a gateway between Shenzhen and Hong Kong, would prosper if Hong Kong prospered. Hong Kong used to be Asia's largest financial center, with free capital flows and the rule of law. However, since the suppression of the anti-extradition bill movement, all of this has vanished, leaving Hong Kong's economy in decline and experiencing a massive loss of capital and talent. Furthermore, China's economy has been declining, impacting Shenzhen and Qianhai, making them inevitably doomed to decline. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.